In the charming village of Umuduru, lived a stunningly beautiful girl named Fumi. Her beauty was unmatched, her skin glowed like the morning sun, and her eyes sparkled like stars. Men from all around would come to see her, captivated by her looks. However, as soon as they got close and started talking to her, they would catch an odor of an unbearable smell. It was so repulsive that they would make excuses and run away, leaving Fumi heartbroken and confused. The villagers whispered about Fumi's curse, and no suitor dared to come close. This left her parents, Yorochi and Obianuju, powerless and heartbroken. They loved their daughter dearly and felt helpless seeing her in such distress. Yorochi, worried that his daughter would become an old maiden and a source of mockery, hatched a desperate plan. He approached Dumimi, a wealthy man to whom he owed a lot of money. "Listen, Dumimi," Yorochi began, his voice heavy with desperation. "I have a proposition. If you make your son, Amobi, marry my daughter, Fumi, and I will give you 5 pieces of my land." As always, Dumimi was a cunning businessman who saw a chance. With the intention of deceiving Yorochi later, he consented. Dumimi, filled with excitement, persuaded his son Amobi into marrying Fumi against his will. Amobi had vowed to wed Chikanili, his fiancée. Dumimi promised him that after the marriage, he would leave Fumi and wed Chikanili like he wanted. Amobi unwillingly consented, telling Chikanili he wouldn't even look at Fumi. The wedding day arrived, and the whole village watched from a distance, afraid to come close due to Fumi's infamous smell. Amobi, embarrassed and repulsed, covered his face with a cloth. Fumi, feeling humiliated, cried quietly. Yorochi tried to reassure her, whispering, "Don't worry, my daughter. Now that you are married, everything will be alright." Unfortunately, the wedding night turned out to be a nightmare. As soon as Amobi entered the hut, the smell overwhelmed him. He suffocated, ran outside, and spent the night under a tree. Fumi, left alone, cried herself to sleep. The next morning, Dumimi, impatient to claim his lands, went to Yorochi. "It's time to hand over the lands," Dumimi demanded. Yorochi, standing his ground, replied, "The wedding is not a marriage until it's consumed. I will know that is done when I see my daughter get pregnant." Furious, Dumimi took the matter to the village elders. The elders sided with Yorochi, stating that the marriage needed to be consumed before the deal could be honored. Amobi, caught in the middle, started to pity Fumi. He saw her as a victim of circumstances beyond her control. However, his anger towards his father for putting him in this predicament grew each day. Chikanili, bitter and jealous, frequently visited Amobi's home to insult Fumi. "You stink," she would shout, "no wonder no man wants you." Amobi stood by silently, unable to defend Fumi without further complicating matters with Chikanili. Each night, he tried to approach Fumi, hoping to end their suffering, but the smell would drive him away. Amobi's frustration grew with each passing day. Fumi endured daily insults from Chikanili, who took pleasure in humiliating her. Fumi's only solace was her silent prayers and the hope that one day things would change. Despite his resentment, Amobi began to see Fumi in a different light. He noticed her kindness, her gentle spirit, and how she never retaliated against Chikanili's insults. Pity turned into a hesitant admiration, but his ex-fiancée's constant pressure made it impossible for him to show any kindness towards Fumi. "Why do you even care about her?" Chikanili would taunt. "She's just a burden." "I don't," Amobi would lie, hiding his growing empathy. The tension in the house was palpable. Fumi's only escape was the stream, where she would go to fetch water and cry away from prying eyes. One day, while Fumi was at the stream, she couldn't hold back her tears. An old lady, who had been observing her from a distance, approached. "Why are you crying, my dear?" she asked gently. Fumi, feeling a strange comfort from the old lady's presence, poured out her heart. "I'm cursed. No one can stand to be near me because of my smell. I'm humiliated every day, and my husband can't bear to be with me. The old lady listened patiently before revealing a shocking secret. This curse was cast by a woman your father wronged. He broke her heart and abandoned her after getting her pregnant. The girl suffered and gave birth to a stillborn baby. In her pain, she stood at the river and cursed your father, vowing that any daughter he had would be cursed with a repulsive smell that no man could tolerate. The old lady continued, "But all hope is not lost. There is a way to break this curse. You must go to the Yumula River and dive into it 7 times. Only then will the curse be lifted." Fumi, clinging to this glimmer of hope, thanked the old lady profusely. She ran back home to tell Amobi the good news. At first, Amobi was skeptical, but seeing Fumi's desperation, he agreed to go with her to the Yumula River. The next morning, they set off together. When they arrived at the river, Fumi followed the old lady's instructions. She dove into the river 7 times, each time praying fervently for the curse to be lifted. As she emerged from the water for the 7th time, Amobi noticed something astonishing. The foul smell that had surrounded Fumi was gone, replaced by a sweet, aromatic scent. Amobi and Fumi were overjoyed. They embraced for the first time, and Amobi felt a sudden attraction to his wife that he had never felt before. They walked back to the village hand in hand, their hearts light with hope and happiness. Upon their return, Amobi declared loudly to the villagers, "The curse is lifted. My wife is now the most beautiful and sweet-smelling girl in the village. Anyone who dares to mistreat her will have to answer to me." The villagers, who had kept their distance, were amazed by the transformation. They gathered around, congratulating the couple and expressing their amazement at how radiant and lovely Fumi had become. With the curse lifted, Fumi and Amobi began to experience a new life together. Amobi found himself genuinely attracted to his wife and began to appreciate her beauty and kindness even more. He was determined to protect her from any harm or insult. However, Chikanili was furious. She couldn't believe that Amobi had fallen for Fumi and was now defending her. She confronted Amobi, demanding an explanation. "What happened to our plan? You were supposed to leave her and marry me," she shouted. Amobi, feeling a newfound sense of loyalty to Fumi, replied firmly, "Things have changed, Chikanili. Fumi is my wife, and I will stand by her. You need to accept that." Chikanili, heartbroken and angry, stormed away. Fumi, who had overheard the conversation, felt a mix of relief and sadness. She approached Amobi, tears in her eyes. "I heard everything," she said softly. "I understand if you still want to leave me." Amobi took her hands and looked into her eyes. "Fumi, I have realized that I love you. You are not just a wife to me because of an arrangement. You are my partner, and I want to build a life with you." Fumi's heart swelled with happiness. For the first time, she felt truly loved and accepted. As days turned into weeks, Fumi and Amobi's bond grew stronger. They spent more time together, sharing their hopes and dreams. Amobi would take Fumi on walks around the village, proudly showing her off to everyone. The villagers, who had once shunned Fumi, now welcomed her with open arms. They admired her. Fumi's parents, Hirochi and Obianuju, were overjoyed to see their daughter happy and accepted. Hirochi, feeling a sense of guilt for the past, approached Fumi one evening. "My daughter, I am so sorry for everything. I never should have agreed to that arrangement. I hope you can forgive me." Fumi hugged her father tightly. "I understand, Papa. You did what you thought was best for me. And now, everything has turned out alright." Hirochi smiled, tears in his eyes. The family was finally at peace. Fumi's transformation had brought not only happiness to her but also a sense of unity to the entire village. People began to see her not as the cursed girl but as a symbol of hope and resilience. Fumi, with Amobi by her side, was ready to embrace the future with open arms. Despite the newfound happiness, Amobi's life was not without its challenges. Chikanili, unable to accept the change, continued to cause trouble. She would spread rumors about Fumi, trying to turn the villagers against her. "Do you really think the curse is gone?" she would whisper. "It's only a matter of time before the smell returns." Fumi, aware of these rumors, tried to stay strong. But there were moments when the doubt would creep in, and she would worry that Chikanili might be right. Amobi, seeing Fumi's distress, took it upon himself to protect her. He confronted Chikanili one day. "You need to stop this," he said sternly. "Fumi is my wife, and I love her. You are only hurting yourself with these actions." Chikanili, hurt and bitter, replied, "I loved you, Amobi. We had plans. And now, because of her, everything is ruined." Amobi sighed, feeling a pang of guilt. "I'm sorry, Chikanili. But you need to move on. We all need to move on." With that, he walked away, leaving Chikanili standing there, tears streaming down her face. Back home, Amobi found Fumi sitting by the fire, looking thoughtful. "What's on your mind?" he asked, sitting beside her. Fumi looked up, her eyes reflecting the firelight. "I just worry, Amobi. What if the curse comes back? What if everything we have is taken away?" Amobi took her hand, squeezing it gently. "We will face it together, no matter what happens. I won't let anything come between us." Fumi smiled, feeling reassured. They sat together in silence, drawing strength from each other. Days turned into weeks, and the rumors began to die down. The villagers, seeing how happy and devoted Amobi and Fumi were, started to accept their union wholeheartedly. Fumi began to find her place in the community. She joined the women in their daily tasks, and soon, they came to admire her strength and resilience. Amobi, too, found a renewed sense of purpose. He worked hard on their land, determined to build a good life for his family. One evening, as they were sitting by the fire, Amobi turned to Fumi. "I've been thinking," he began. "We should have a celebration. To show everyone that we are strong and united." Fumi looked at him, her eyes wide with surprise. "A celebration? What kind?" Amobi smiled. "A feast. We will invite the whole village and celebrate our love and the end of the curse." Fumi's heart filled with joy. "That sounds wonderful," she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. They began to plan the celebration, eager to share their happiness with everyone. The day of the celebration arrived, and the village was abuzz with excitement. Amobi and Fumi had worked tirelessly to prepare for the feast. They had invited everyone in the village, wanting to share their joy with the community. As the sun began to set, the villagers started to gather. The air was filled with the delicious aroma of food, and the sound of laughter and chatter filled the air. Fumi, dressed in a beautiful new dress, looked radiant. Amobi couldn't take his eyes off her. "You look stunning," he whispered, taking her hand. Fumi blushed, feeling a warmth in her heart. The celebration was a huge success. The villagers ate, danced, and sang, celebrating not only the end of the curse but also the love between Amobi and Fumi. For the first time, Fumi felt truly accepted and loved by the community. As the night went on, Amobi stood up to address the crowd. "Thank you all for coming," he began, his voice filled with emotion. "Tonight, we celebrate not just the end of a curse, but the power of love and unity. Fumi and I are grateful for your support and acceptance." The crowd cheered, and Fumi felt tears of happiness welling up in her eyes. She stood beside Amobi, feeling a sense of belonging she had never felt before. The night was filled with joy and laughter, and as the celebration came to an end, Amobi and Fumi felt a renewed sense of hope for the future. They knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. As the villagers began to leave, Chikanili approached Amobi and Fumi. Her face was a mix of anger and sadness. "I need to talk to you," she said, her voice trembling. Amobi nodded, leading her to a quiet corner. "What is it?" he asked gently. Chikanili took a deep breath. "I'm leaving the village," she said. "I can't stay here and watch you be happy with her. It's too painful." Amobi felt a pang of sadness for Chikanili. "I'm sorry for everything," he said softly. "I never meant to hurt you." Chikanili nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I know. But I need to find my own path. Goodbye, Amobi." With that, she turned and walked away, leaving Amobi feeling a mix of relief and sadness. He returned to Fumi, who looked at him with concern. "Is everything alright?" she asked. Amobi nodded, pulling her into a hug. "Yes, everything is alright. Let's go home." The days following the celebration were filled with peace and happiness for Amobi and Fumi. They worked together on their land, building a life that was filled with love and laughter. However, the peace was not to last. One day, Fumi went to the stream to fetch water. As she was filling her pots, she saw the old lady who had helped her before. The old lady approached, her face filled with concern. "Fumi, there is something you need to know," she said. Fumi felt a chill run down her spine. "What is it?" she asked, her voice trembling. The old lady sighed. The curse was not just about the smell. There was more to it. "The woman who cursed your father did so out of great pain and anger. Her curse was meant to cause suffering to your family for generations." The smell was just the beginning. Fumi felt her heart sink. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The old lady continued, "The curse was also meant to cause strife and division within your family. It was meant to destroy any chance of happiness and unity." Fumi felt a wave of despair wash over her. "Is there anything we can do?" she asked, her voice filled with desperation. The old lady nodded. "Yes, there is. The only way to truly break the curse is to seek forgiveness from the family of the woman who cast it. You must go to her village and offer her family your heartfelt apologies. Only then will the curse be lifted completely." Fumi felt a ray of hope. "I will do it," she said determinedly. "I will do whatever it takes to lift this curse." She returned home and told Amobi everything. Amobi, seeing the determination in Fumi's eyes, agreed to go with her. They packed their things and set off on their journey. The journey was long and arduous, but they were determined to see it through. They traveled through forests and over mountains along the way. But their love and determination kept them going. Finally, they reached the village. It was a desolate and eerie place, filled with a sense of sadness and loss. Fumi found the father, knelt down and offered her heartfelt apologies. She begged him for forgiveness, promising to honor the memory of her late daughter and seek redemption for her father's actions. As she spoke, the air around them seemed to change. A sense of peace and calm settled over them, and Fumi felt a weight lift from her shoulders. With the curse finally lifted, Amobi and Fumi returned to the village. They felt a renewed sense of hope and happiness. The villagers welcomed them back with open arms, celebrating their return and the end of the curse. Amobi and Fumi continued to build their life together, their bond growing stronger with each passing day. They drew strength from their love and unity. Fumi's father, Yorochi, was overjoyed to see his daughter happy and at peace. Yorochi, feeling a sense of redemption, worked hard to make amends for his past mistakes. Fumi, too, found her place in the community. She became known for her strength and kindness, admired by all who knew her. Amobi and Fumi's love continued to grow, and they soon welcomed a child into their lives. Their daughter, named after Fumi's mother, brought even more joy and happiness to their family. The villagers, seeing the love and unity in Amobi and Fumi's family, began to look up to them as a symbol of true love. They were no longer seen as the cursed family but as a family that had overcome great challenges and emerged stronger and more united. As the years went by, Amobi and Fumi's love remained as strong as ever. They faced life's challenges together, always drawing strength from each other. They taught their children the importance of love, forgiveness, and unity, ensuring that the lessons they had learned would be passed down to future generations. Fumi, who had once been known as the cursed girl, was now known as a symbol of hope and resilience, admired by all who knew her. In the end, Fumi's story was not just about overcoming a curse but about the power of love, forgiveness, and unity. It was a story that inspired everyone in the village, reminding them that no matter what challenges they faced, they could overcome them with love and determination. And so, Fumi and Amobi lived happily ever after, their love and unity serving as a beacon of hope for all who knew them. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share to get more captivating stories on my African Tales channel.